Hi there, my name is Michael, and today we'll be going into introduction to Bootstrap. Now, what is Bootstrap? Basically, Bootstrap is one of the most popular and powerful front-end framework. It is used for faster, easier, responsive web development. And who can use Bootstrap? Anybody, basically, once you have the basic working knowledge of HTML, CSS, and probably JavaScript, then you're good to go. For the purpose of this tutorial, we'll keep it very basic and just an introduction, like I said, just an introduction, just introduce you to Bootstrap. Now, why should I use Bootstrap? When it makes a whole lot of sense, and as well as it saves a lot of time. It has so many responsive features, and it has consistent design and easy to use. And it is very compatible with many browsers, modern browsers, Safari, Firefox, Chrome, Edge, name it. It works fine. And why not? It's an open source. So we'll just dive right into it, and we'll go to the official website to see how to use, and we'll be using their documentation for this. Yeah, get Bootstrap. So getbootstrap.com, that's their website, official website, and you click on docs. I've got documentation. They have a well-detailed documentation for this library. Alright, so we have two ways of using Bootstrap. Now, the first way to use Bootstrap is by using the package manager, or you could download the source file. For the purpose of this tutorial, we'll just be using the link, so we don't need to download for now. We'll just copy the link, as you can see here, and we'll paste it into the head of our HTML file. I'll just click on copy right here. So let's create an HTML file, and let's just see how this thing works. Remember, this is not a detailed tutorial, it's just an introduction to Bootstrap, just to introduce you to Bootstrap, probably just to water your mouth and see how good, sweet, and probably what you've been missing. Why code CSS all day long when you could just easily come here and say, Bootstrap, do this for me? Alright, so I'll just write a little bit of code and implement what we are trying to preach here, and I'll use English. Most people anyways don't like to write all of these things here that I am doing. I don't know. Alright, so I'll be adding a method tag, and I'll be naming it viewport. Now, what is viewport? Viewport is one and a very important tag to create a responsive browser or a page. Now, what viewport does, and what we'll be using here is the content we'll be using here is the width. So this is a way how we could tell our device that, okay, fine, we are trying to load a page on a mobile device. Use the device width and not what has been used, or for instance, because the screen for a computer is wider compared to that of a mobile device, so we don't have to use the whole entire screen so as not to choke everything up. So but then once you use anything with this meta tag and it says that, oh, viewport, then width is equals to device width, initial scale to be 1, it will go on to that device and check what is your device width, then it will scale the page so as it would contain that very well. Let's say basics. Let's Bootstrap, and let's create our body. Just the body. Let's say another one or so. Yeah, another one. And we say hello world. Save the file, then let's go to the browser to refresh our page. Now on our browser we have something like this, hello world. Now let's add the link that we'll be copying from Bootstrap into our code. Now we usually and we would always add the link to the head, just as it has been said or defined here. It says copy paste the style sheet link into your head, into the head tag, and not into the body. So we'll copy and paste it here, and we'll save this once again. So copy and paste here and save this once again. Now let's see what this does in our browser. Please note the font style. Can you see? Then once I refresh this, you note that's changed. Now what this does is that it has picked some basic styling from Bootstrap itself and applied it to what we have used here. Now let's see how we could use Bootstrap properly, or let's create something interesting. So if I scroll down here to, let's say, components, and let's use alert for instance. Now I want to create two different kinds of alert, a success alert and a danger alert. So how do I use this? Bootstrap has done a documentation showing how to do that. As you see here, you see this is the one for the success alert and this is one for danger alert. And if I should copy this and I paste it here, I don't know why that did that. All right, let me just tag. All right, so let's save that and go. All right, let's come here. Yeah, paste. Yeah, we have that here now. So I'll quickly change this to a success message and a danger message, and I'll save that here. Then back to browser and I refresh my page. Can you see that? Now basically normally you could have done this using CSS and it would or might be close to looking at like this. But however, if I will show you some little things, interesting things, you see the font style, the padding not too close to the edge and not too far. So if I should do this, if you notice, you see these edges are curved right here, right? And you see that there is a gap. It's not clumsy. So it means that from our code and what we have here, we said hello world and we created a class and we named that class alert sources. Now in Bootstrap there's a class already called alert, and in alert we have alert sources, alert danger, we have so many different kind of alert, and they said it has a role and the role is called alert. Now calling this class from Bootstrap has already some properties such as the border, the font size, and so many pretty cool things that we can see here already. All right, so without wasting much time, we'll go right on to creating, let's say, containers. Now containers are one of the basic layout elements in Bootstrap. Now and they are required when using grid system. We have three types of containers. We have the container fluid, and container breakpoint. Now for container, I will implement the three, but then we need to understand or see what this container does. So containers are basically used to wrap content with some padding. Now they are also used to align the content horizontally center on the page in a kind of a case where you have the fixed width layout. All right, let me just implement one or two or the three kinds of container. Let's say we have for an instance now, let's say, let me do this. Okay, let me just create a new div. Alright, so inside this div, let me say I create a class. Remember, in Bootstrap there is a way to do this. There is already the class in Bootstrap. We are only calling it container. Alright, so let's create another one. We want to use another one. So this is heading, let's call it that, and let me create a paragraph. And let me call this is a paragraph. Let's save. Go ahead to save that. Okay, just before I save that and run, let me implement the other kind of container. We have, like I said, we have container, we have container fluid. So let me create this other one called container fluid. Now in container fluid, I would also just create another one and say this is a heading, and I'll create a paragraph and say this is a paragraph. Right, let me save this and go to our browser. Now in our browser, by the time I refresh this page and see from here, do you see this? All right, so let me change this and increase what we have here. Do you see that the container tend not to sit directly on the left side, but the fluid kind of flow around? All right, so if I should keep increasing the size, you see, for container, it says this is heading, this paragraph, this also breaks down there. If I should, okay, let me make this smaller a bit just to see how it goes. You see, it just keep breaking, unlike not that it just go ahead and hide itself somewhere. So it just keep breaking, so that if this was used on a mobile device, you'll be able to see whatever thing you are doing. That is the purpose of this. You see, just keep breaking itself into smaller and smaller bits, so that it could contain what you are doing. So if I should return this back to where it was, you see. So now a basic difference is that you can simply use the container class to create a responsible fixed width container. So the width of the container will change at different breakpoints or screen size, just as what I've shown you. Why the fluid containers will create a full width.